ladies and gents, welcome to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome aboard the XP-38G. Now those of you who have been watching my channel closely would have seen this footage before, admittedly in a fairly jerky fashion. I had a small problem with the upload of this video last night. Now the problem I originally thought was YouTube's processing of the video. It turns out that it wasn't, well at least not entirely. Now I did use Cyberlink Power Director as my main editing software. Unfortunately I ran into a problem that seems to have been plaguing a lot of PowerLink users or Power Director users for an extended period of time. And this problem is, there's a glitch with Nvidia graphics cards. It seems that when this glitch pops up, the game, or the software rather, will just stop recording or allowing you to encode videos in 1080p without massive glitches, if it'll allow you to do it at all. So I got to spend a fun night trying to get Power Director to work, and after multiple reinstalls, updating of all software to maximum levels, not that any of it really needed updating, this is a brand new computer with everything brand new and fully updated on it, I finally got into tech support at Cyberlink, and the response came back of basically buy a new video card or just record in 540 or 720p because that usually works. Yeah, that was the response from the tech department of a company that produces a $100+ piece of video editing software. Go replace all your hardware because it's not working with our software. Well, fuck you. Thankfully, a friend of mine had a copy of Sony Vegas floating around that I could take out for a test trial, and after playing around with it for a couple of hours, Sony, you just got yourself a new customer. Cyberlink, eat a dick. Unfortunately, this does mean I have to re-record all the commentary for this video from scratch, so on top of, not giving me a non-working piece of software, they've wasted several hours of my time. So, let's take it from the top, shall we? Now, while I've been rambling on, I was engaging a Cobra K in the clouds. I've dove away, I couldn't manoeuvre with it, and I've managed to stumble across the entirety of the enemy team. It's all good, I've managed to get enough speed up to break the distance. The K will take me a little while to catch, and this gives me an opportunity to start booming targets on a lower altitude. The P-39K is approaching fast, loop the plane over and dive away and select a new ground target for a boom while I'm at it. Take a clip to the wing from the K's 50 cals, nothing major. Line up the IL-2, it's taking a shot at the KI-61, get some good hits in and then clip it with my wingtip as I go past. Take absolutely no damage, but throw the IL-2 into a flat spin and there's my first kill. Gotta love those War Thunder damage models, don't you? Take the plane back into a second loop, looking for more targets on the ground. There's an I-16 down there that's engaging the KI-61. I'm going to try and boom it and get rid of it, but unfortunately the KI-61, well, he's doing what he needs to survive. He's manoeuvring very tightly, but it's making it very hard for me to be able to get down there and clear his tail. This is one thing you should really consider when you have allied aircraft directly above you and you're trying to avoid fire from an enemy aircraft that is on your tail. While manoeuvring will allow you to avoid the shots at least to some extent, you quite often are throwing off your allied aircraft's ability to actually clear your tail. For me to get down there and actually have an easy shot at him, I'd have to drop my airspeed, drop my combat flaps and try and fall onto the tail of an I-16, where it has quite easily the ability to turn around and kill me. Now the XP-38G itself, well, it's had an interesting history in War Thunder. First things first, it doesn't exist, at least not in real life. There was a XP-38 prototype, and it was an okay aircraft, not a particularly great one, but it was the machine that gave birth to the Lightning series of fighters, and they themselves are incredible. I-16 goes down, time to clear out of the area. And there is of course the P-38G, which we already have in the tech tree, but there was no prototype of the P-38G. This aircraft did not exist. This is something that's always bothered the purists and the historians in War Thunder quite a bit. It actually bugs me quite a bit as well, as much as I do love the aircraft. This thing it's a fantasy plane. PE-2 in the distance, moving to intercept along with the rest of the team. Now the second thing that's bothered a lot of players with the XP-38 is when the Pacific Pack, which this plane comes in, was originally available, this was, well, basically an Era 4, entry-level Era 4 aircraft. This was a high-tier machine, a premium that was from its position in the tech tree, was a very effective aircraft at grinding out jets and other high-tier aircraft on the US line. And the pack, of course, comes with two aircraft, the XP-38G and the A6M5KO. Now, the A6M5KO has stayed at its position in Era 4 and will continue to do so in the future, from what I've been reading on the forums, which makes it an effective aircraft for grinding high-tier jets. However, the XP-38 got dropped down to Era 2, where it is, well, it's not effective at grinding high-tier aircraft anymore. Shots fired and get some good hits on that K that was bothering before after it's gone back to the runway to reload, take the plane into a loop and reinitiate the dive. I have done crippling damage to the aircraft, taking out its aileron. Diving in fast and moving for the kill. With that damage, he's just destroyed all his manoeuvrability. There's no way known he's going to be able to outturn me in his current state. Second shot goes straight in, another critical hit, takes out the fuel tank. Judging from the location that those shots landed on, I would say that I also did some pretty severe engine damage in there that didn't come up as a crit as well. The aircraft's airspeed is dropping incredibly low, it's almost at a glide. I wouldn't be surprised if its engine was currently in the process of failing. It's actually going so slow that I over-aimed here, but nevertheless, take the kill. Now, as I said, in the new patch, most of the A6M5 series is going back to Era 3. However, the premium looks like it will be staying at Era 4 and just have a BR reduction, so it'll still be an effective high-tier grinder. Great news, but it's little consolidation for those who got the Pacific Campaign pack expecting 2 aircraft for high-level aircraft grinding, and now only have 1. Well, thankfully we have some good news on that front. Lesser has confirmed on a recent Q&A that the XP-38G will be completely removed from the game in either patch 1.43 or patch 1.45. It will be replaced with the once-off built P-38K. Now, the P-38K was a prototype aircraft developed. It was effectively the most powerful version of the P-38 ever created. For those of you wondering what it flew like, if you remember the first revision of the new P-38 flight model a couple of patches ago, where it seriously dominated everything all the way up to Tier 4, that was very similar to what the K actually flew like, and that's the plane we're getting as a premium to replace this thing. Looping the plane over to get an angle on this Lag 3 AI that seems to be bothering the hell out of me, goddamn Tetsuo. As I swing the camera around, I spot the LA5 that went missing before. It's the last player in the enemy team. Turn it over hard. I'm going to ignore the AI now. I've got a far more interesting target to engage. Now, the LA5 has me hands down in the manoeuvrability department, but there is no way known it can catch me in raw speed. Quickly shoot a message through chat to let the last player left alive on my team in his F4U. Let him know that the enemy player is here with me, fold up the flaps, make sure he's locked up, and time to run. I try and throw it into a climb to see if I have the opportunity and enough speed to catch up. The LA5 is a fast accelerating aircraft in a low speed situation, and it actually had speed on me for a split second, so quickly nose down, easily punching out past 450 kilometers an hour, heading out towards 500 rapidly. The LA5 just cannot keep up. I'm just pulling straight away. Just following the shallow valley, allowing me raw room to continue a dive down even through these mountains. I think I've broken out enough distance to be able to loop back around and re-engage. Try, but note the LA5 is still too close. It gets a shot in, slight pink on the fuselage, no critical damage, but that's all I need to know. And I spot the allied F4U. I was wondering where the hell he got to. So, when you need help, make it easier for your allies to assist you. Fold the plane up for speed, put the nose down, punch it past 500 and go straight underneath the F4U. He'll provide me the distraction that I need to get the LA5 off my tail. 530 kilometers an hour, quickly shoot a message through to the F4U so he knows exactly what the hell I'm up to. It was at about this moment I think the LA5 realised exactly how much trouble he was in and what he had just got himself into. He tries to take a head on with the F4U. I see the shots exchanged. I'm not sure whether or not the F4U took damage or not, but it has bought me the time I need to loop this thing back over, roll it over, fire the shot, and take the wings straight off the LA5. And with that kill, all that remains is the AI, which just made another strafing pass at me again. For God's sakes, Tetsuo, fuck off. In the end, I probably should have left this AI for the F4U to take out as a thank you for giving me the assistance that I needed in breaking that LA5 off my tail. However, at this time, I've actually lost track of him. I'm not entirely sure whether or not he's alive or not. I actually think, until a few moments here where he actually cuts back across, that the LA5 may have taken out of his engine in that head-on pass. It's not something uncommon to see. However, with this the last aircraft left alive, pull back on the throttles to 87%, combat flaps to full, just pull onto the tail of the LA5. This thing is surprisingly manoeuvrable when you haven't got it at full throttle. With the combat flaps down, take the control surfaces straight off the tail, and that's it. Put a couple of extra shots in because, you know, why not? Watch him go down, and then we go check out the results. Another hit in. It's worth putting extra shots into him in that situation. It's always extra credits. So, first place for the team with 4 kills, 3 players and 1 AI, Ground Forces Rescuer, Windstreak X3, Final Blow, Terror of the Sky, Balancer, and Bulletproof. 104,160 Silver Lions and 6,121 research points. Not a bad match overall. Honestly, part of me is going to miss this aircraft when it is replaced. I really do enjoy flying it. Now it's got a flight model that's actually competitive and fun to use, and as you can see, it can pull up some monster results. But given the choice between keeping the XP-38G fantasy aircraft or having a P-38K sitting in my hangar, I'll take the P-38K, thank you very much. So, moving on, and speaking of fun low-level aircraft to fly, here's Thatcher's F2A-1 Buffalo. This is one of the 5 premium aircraft that you get access to, or you can potentially get access to rather, when you first start playing War Thunder, based on the First Nation that you actually play. Thatcher's Buffalo was actually the aircraft that I got first, and I can honestly say I have never regretted it. I now have 4 of the 5, but this is the one that I love the most. So first kill of the match has been done. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. A Ju-87 Stuka that was running far ahead of where it should have been with its team. Just because you get an air spawn doesn't mean you dive in towards the enemy team and attempt to engage them. All it means is if you do that is you are likely going to have to fight the entire enemy team on your own, and it will just get you killed. So new players, if you get an air spawn, just try and hang around at altitude until the rest of your team catches up. Trust me, doing it that way, you'll live longer. Alright, so the enemy team has come into view now. There is a HE-112 in the sky. I want that plane, and there's also 2 109s, likely E1s. One could possibly be an E3 at this sort of a level, but it's unlikely considering the aircraft that are around. Unfortunately, the sky is also full of these little bastards, HE-51s, and these things are actually a lot more threat than people give them credit for. Now these things aren't particularly fast, and they are only armed with a couple of 30 caliber machine guns. However, they're highly manoeuvrable. They're far more manoeuvrable than anything you'll likely be flying. In fact, the HE-51 I think is only second to the Ki-10 in terms of manoeuvrability. This means if they get on your ass, they'll likely stay there. And as for the couple of 30 caliber machine guns, well, I've killed P-47s with a couple of 30 caliber machine guns. They'll definitely, with a good pilot with good aim, make short work of something like a Buffalo, so I have to clear the area of these things first before I can start engaging the real fighters. If I don't, they'll likely just fall under my tail and kill me while I'm trying to manoeuvre. Now there is a G50 above, it's engaging one of our PBYs, and I want to keep that thing alive, so put it into a vertical climb, trying to close distance fast. He brings the guns back around. That thing's armed with 250 caliber machine guns and fireballed. Shit. So I put my hands together and quickly utter a prayer to the heathen gods of War Thunder, and they come through. The fire goes out, and for bonus points, no damage to the fuselage or any part of the airframe. So besides the fact that I'm blowing 2 colours of smoke, this thing is still fully combat capable. Time to go have a word with that G50 about, fire. G50 is a highly manoeuvrable aircraft, set flaps to full combat, dropping its tail. WEP is going to allow me to overshoot here. I probably should have backed off on the throttle a little bit sooner, however, full elevation turn, managed to get shots through. Good solid hit on the left hand side wing there. Bring it back around, line up for a second shot. Good lead and take the wing. Yep, let's see him put that out. Do a quick damage check on the aircraft. No damage to the airframe at all. I am blowing coolant and oil, but my oil and engine temperatures seem to be fine for the moment. 492 30 caliber ammunition on board, 117 rounds of 50 caliber ammunition. I'm good to stay in combat, so going for a little bit of altitude and trying to work out where my next targets will be. Now, as I said at the start of the match, I still want that 112 and those two 109s. Unfortunately, there's a massive swarm of HE51s and CR42s in front of me, and I really need to get rid of these things first. So pick the closest HE51. Now, I was really hoping my team would clear some of these things up. I really don't like hunting HE51s in this plane. I'd rather attack the big aircraft. But to emphasise what I was saying before about these things still being dangerous even though they are low levels, have a look at the HE51 that was just flying towards me. It's now sitting right on my tail. It just turned on the spot, fell in, and is now putting 30 caliber rounds into the back of my plane. I am faster than it and I'm keeping out of its guns for the pass, but there's another clip. It's just doing short bursts. This guy actually has some trigger discipline, which is generally not a good thing. It means he's probably a good pilot. He puts another round into me as I go through the loop, back to wet, put some more shots in the back of this HE51. These things can be surprisingly durable as well. A lot of shots will just penetrate them rather than doing damage to them, unless you hit them in just the right area. However, I think I've done crippling damage to that one, and the one on my tail is giving me the shit, so throttle up to full. That, and I just realised that one of the 109s is actually behind me now, and it is heading in my direction, so I want to get a little bit of distance. Take the plane into a tight loop. I want to see what this 109 does. Dive down on the HE51s. He's definitely heading in my direction. Wing over, throw myself out of gun's range, over the top of one HE51, slot in on the second. Now, according to the radar, he seems to have backed off into the other direction temporarily. Put some shots through on that HE51. I want a couple of these things out of the area at the very least. Loop it back down, and yep, time for me to clear some space here. Going low, going fast, and trying to put a separation gap between me and those biplanes. The HE51 cannot keep up. The 109's the only aircraft that I'm particularly worried about, and it actually broke off to have a shot at the other Thatcher's Buffalo for a split second. He has, however, turned back onto my tail now and is approaching. Now, I do have a CR42 in front of me. Now, these things I really respect as biplanes. The 50 calibers on them can be quite dangerous if the pilot knows how to use them. I quite love my CR42, so I want to get rid of it before I engage the 109. With the gap that I just extended, the HE51 should no longer be an issue. Yep, the E is still approaching from behind. Go low, I'm going to pull up sharply on the CR42. It notices me, it's beginning to make a turn back. Just line up. First shot's through. Good solid hit. Now, I've already burnt out my 50 caliber rounds at this time, so I'm only on rifle caliber ammunition. That is 30 calibers only. Keeping the whip on, I want to keep speed up, get back into convergence range as fast as I possibly can. Take the wing. Beautiful. That's the CR42 out of the area. Now I've only got the 109E1. Combat flaps on and just pull straight underneath it. Keeping the whip on as I take the plane straight into a loop. Aileron roll through the loop to select a position to slot in on the target's tail. Just turn out, and now I've got him. The E1 is still a faster aircraft in a straight line, but the Buffalo is far more manoeuvrable. He can escape if he flies straight, dives the nose down and runs. However, if he keeps turning, I've got him. Careful aim. I'm limited on ammunition at the moment, no 50s yet, only 30s, and take off his right wing. That was actually a really good shot. I took off his right wing from the left-hand side. Now at this point it's time for me to RTB. Oil temperature has come up and is not cooling down, and I'm down to 175 rounds of 30 caliber ammunition, so back to base. So approximately 3 minutes later, coming in fast off the runway back into the combat zone. There's still a large number of HE51s flying around, showing how well these pilots were actually doing, and one of the BF-109s is still left alive. Unfortunately, I've missed my chance at the 112. It got taken out by the other Thatcher's Buffalo, so the second 109E1 is the last remaining good prize left on the battlefield. Taking it into a loop, good solid hits on the HE51. Now what I'm going to do is try and figure eight between these two HE51s, taking a shot at the first one and then looping over and diving back at the second one. as they're both too manoeuvrable to follow through. Well, at least that's what I thought. I'm not sure if I did damage to this guy's control surfaces or if he was a newer player, although to survive this long in the battle I imagine he wasn't. He could have been manoeuvring a hell of a lot tighter than he was. Tight enough that the Buffalo could not make these manoeuvres on him. 2 more solid bursts, and I spot the second HE-51 coming back in. The first one has actually made a tight turn now, so I can't follow it. Just go to put a lead shot in, but he goes down to a kill. Excellent. Turn it over, second Thatcher's goes through and takes the second HE-51 out as well. That is the HE-51's gone. Now the only thing that's left is that BF-109 off in the distance, and I want that kill. It's mine, I want the set. And just doing a quick check, yes, that is the last player on the enemy team. So, nose down, get as much airspeed as I possibly can at low altitude, WEP to full. I do not care about engine overheating, the engine will survive long enough. 109 is approaching in this direction, which is excellent. He's not going after the Blenheim, he's going to take a shot at us. 406 kilometers an hour, more than what I need. The plan is to burst the 109 from underneath and get a shot into the wings. However, he sees me coming, dips his nose down into a dive, try and get shots through. I get a nice solid hit. He manages to get no rounds into me at all. Combat flaps to tighten the loop over. Slot back in on its tail, and once again we've got an E1 that's trying to manoeuvre with the Buffalo, which will never work. Firing a little wildly here, but I wanted to make sure I got the crit. I've blown off all its tail control, extra shots in just for bonus points, and now all I have to do is follow this guy to the ground and make sure I confirm and get the kill. And there it is, and that's the end of the match. Let's go check out the results. And this is the reason that I love this little aircraft. First place for the team with 4 kills, 2 assists, all players. Ground Forces Rescuer, Windstreak X2, Terror of the Sky, Balancer, Bulletproof, and On Hand. 47,775 Silver Lions, and we come in at 4,416 research points. Not bad for 16 minutes work, not bad at all. So, Thatcher's F2A-1. I hope you can see why this aircraft is my favourite of the 4 or the 5 potential starting premiums you can get access to just by selecting your First Nation of the game. And the XP-38G. I love the plane, I'm going to miss the plane, but bring on the P-38K. So anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know in the comments what you think of the quality. This is my first time using Sony Vegas, and everything you see in this video, including the new intro, was made in Sony Vegas, and I've had about 3 hours to learn how to use it. I'm recording this at 1 AM in order to get this video up for you guys tomorrow. Other than that, as always, click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more, fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.